Hey guys, this is Trader Genius. You've got Jess and Rob. It's 14 June, Friday, and we're getting ready to recap the week. And we wanted to start out by looking at the long term market chart, looking at the weekly trend line. What do we see?
Through this weekly perspective, we're looking at 6,000 over 6,000 stocks that comprise this chart. And you can see from June 7th to the 14th, there really has been still an upward trend, but a lot of flattening. The length of trend and strength of trend hasn't caused a change in the background. The red signal in the background, it hasn't triggered a change over to green, even though we have been in an uptrend. It did flatten this throughout this week.
Yeah, and that trigger is right down here in the bottom tray. If you want to turn that on, you can see where we're at. Green is obviously good for long, and red would be good for short. And we're going to start with our watch list, BMA. Pull that bad boy up. This would be our daily trade to highlight this week. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Funny story, you can see it's a beautiful green, some higher highs throughout the week. I actually found BMA myself. This was not a daily dozen. It came up on Monday. I was doing some research on the master list, and I sorted by profit to equity ratio, the PE ratio. I just went from low to high, and I started tracking down until I got some actual numbers. So there's a lot with zeros there. Those are not going to be so good. Some of them are going to be very small, or stocks that were trending for a while, but I got down into the sub 1 profit to equity ratio, and I just went one by one from the lowest to the highest, and pretty shortly thereafter I found BMA right there. Whoops. Right there in the master list. So the master list is so, I mean, it does everything. It's our utility list. It's the source of all that we do. So from here, I just started looking at it, and I was looking for investor candidates, honestly, Jess. And but when you have multiple systems in your arsenal, you have day trading, you have stock trading on the daily and monthly, weekly, and then you have investing in the long term. I took a look at this chart and I was like, hey, this guy is taking off on the daily. So that's exactly what I did. I got into it on 10 June at the top of this candle. Just make that really big. Top of this candle right here, the close on 610, that was Monday. And I got out 24 hours later, right here, closed with a high of 61.80. That equaled for me a 6.5% profit. However, if you were that salty dog who held on for just another 24 hours on the 12th, in 2 days, it would have closed at the close on that day was 68.55, and that would have been 18.4%, which is not too shabby for 48 hours in a single stock.
Yeah, that's a pretty good trade right there. You really followed your process, and that called for the exit when you exited, and where it'll go afterwards and what it'll do afterwards is of no consequence. You walked away with a profit, and really at the end of the day, you stumbled across something that turned into a relatively short term trade when you were looking for some investing candidates. And so, really, kind of a fortuitous situation that you fell into just by being present, by following your process, and being active in the market.
Active in the market, and just lose yourself, immerse yourself in the tools, and these little strands will appear to you as you just kind of peruse the master list or any other list that we have. I was looking for an investor candidate, investing candidate, and I found a day stock trading candidate, and I hit that single. You know me so well, buddy. I'm always looking for just a clean single. I got 6.5%. I was happy with that. But yeah, it kind of skyrocketed after that, up all the way up towards $70 a share. So yeah, I guess the takeaway for this one, coach's tip, I guess, would be just dig. Look around. You'll know they'll jump off the screen when they're the obvious movers. So grab them and throw them into one of your systems and see what you can do with them. And if they're not good, if they're not obvious, then just move on. There's so many tickers to choose from.
Yeah, show up and you'll find opportunities. If you don't show up, you're not going to get opportunities. It's really as simple as that.
Our next stock that really moved was a weekly move, and it showed up last Monday, the 3rd of June, and it's called ERIE, ERIE. And on that day, it had originally shown up with a last price of 214.90. Jess, what did you see here?
Well, we originally saw Erie back in late May, and if you highlight over there, it kind of channeled around that $200 mark, and had just it had to get over that. $200 is a big dollar mark, and once it decided to bust out of that $200 mark on that June 3rd arrival, that sucker just kept going after a really nice volume spike. You had higher highs, nice big fat candles. We got solid green signal with the blue K band. Just looked really strong and didn't really have any signs of slowing down. So it ended up closing today at 247.23 for a gain of 15% since June 3rd. So about 11 days with a 15% gain, and pretty clean as well too.
Yeah, pretty clean. Some of the important things you said about this chart, brother, were, that green signal has been on pretty consistently. And during the times that it had shown up on our daily dozen, that green signal never faltered. We had tons of upward pressure. And what do we always interpret from charts like this? There's a lot of buyers. People are bullish out there on ERIE. And like you said, well, we coach a lot that volume spikes begin and end trends, and you pointed out this nice volume spike on May the 31st that really started the strong move that we're recapping today.
The volume spike and breaking that $200 mark, that was kind of a starting gun, so to speak, for this stock, and not really seeing anything to the left. You don't see any other candles. So there's not really a lot of junk there to really slow it down after it broke that $200 mark. So 247.23 is a nice run from the $200 mark in just a short bit of time.
Right, and what do we mean when we're saying you look left? Well, that's just saying if you look left on the chart, kind of like if you're making a right-hand turn on the street, you always want to look left, see if there's anything coming. Well, we're looking for resistance. Over to the left there, it had not been in this price range previously on this chart, and if you can look at the monthly, not really in recent history. So there's no resistance to slow this thing down. Once it breaks that major point of resistance, that big round price point of 200, with some volume and that power, that's when it really takes off and gets to where you captured it today.
Yeah, this stuff really makes me excited, especially when it's highlighted so well. It's definitely a part of what we coach and a part of the process. So just because our stocks end up on the daily dozen doesn't mean that that's a guaranteed just get in blindly. It's a part of the process, and it's a short list, but when you add up all the other little factors, some really good opportunities present themselves.
And finally, we have a monthly time frame stock move to recap today's daily dozen. On 14 June, we had Hallmark Financial pop up. It had been reported over a month and a half ago, on May 1st on that daily dozen. So it made another appearance. And we pull up the chart. I put it on my favorites list here. And if you pull up the chart and put it on the monthly time scale, we're getting some serious indicators coming on, Jess. You want to talk about them real quick?
The indicators for Hall show increasing power. So we're going from a red background signal to a green background signal, then overlaid with a blue K-band. On top of that, there is growing volume, which is important as stocks move up. The main thing I wanted to highlight with the increase in volume and increase in power is if you look left at the $12 mark, you can see past history of $12 kind of being a sticking point for Hall. A lot of fluctuation, there's a lot of oscillation in there. Well, with that increasing volume and increasing power, it generated enough momentum to push through that $12 mark, and you get this nice big juicy candle that is breaking $13. So it closed today at $13.18 for a gain of 15.1% on the monthly review for Hall.
Yeah, and we showed that for 44 days, and I think it's good to contrast it with the last stock that we went over in our last segment, which was ERIE, and that was our weekly mover, really beautiful on the weekly. But if you take that back to monthly, uh, looking left, that $12 mark on Hall, you look on ERIE as we spoke about. What do you see?
There's nothing to the left here, and it's clean. So that's nice to have. But when you've got increasing power and you've got increasing volume, that's encouraging for potentially breaking through some ceilings to get a nice big juicy candle on the back end, or at least a decent run.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of potential resistance out there. $13 could prove to be resistance if this retraces. You just got to watch it, watch the charts carefully. Maybe the next resistance line after that would be $15. You set it in your system and just make the decision going in. Hey, I'm either going to be out here with a profit, or I'm going to be out here with a small loss. That's trading with the system.
You bring up a good point, Rob. If you're looking at the chart on the master list and you go to the monthly and it's not a far enough time frame out to see where the next resistance and support is, at the very top of our master list we have kind of the longer term investor chart for that stock. You can pull that over and it'll show more historical data, or at least further back, to be able to gauge some of those resistance and supports.
Yep, you're right. And so today, here on the very long term chart, we're breaking above 13. And if you look left there, if it does clear this top, as we say when we're looking at charts, tops and bottoms, if it clears this top and continues with power, maybe get some signal. And this is a great investor candidate too, because the next top that we saw was way up at about $17. So that would be room to run, as we say.
Yeah, some profit potential with room to run. It's an additional tool or capability with the Trader Genius software to be able to zoom in and out that lens to get a really good perspective, so you can cage your mind of possibly what to expect as far as entries and exits, looking at those different time frames.
Right, and there's never any guarantees. It's not guaranteed just because it breaks 13 it's going to go up to 17. You just watch it, watch the behavior of this stock as it progresses, and this is a longer term thing, so just check on it once in a while. Set up your time of day, make that part of your process in stock trading or investing. On those longer term time scales, just check the pulse, check the vitals on your patient once in a while, Doc.
Yeah, don't make hope a part of your process. Keep an eye on your indicators and act accordingly with your process.
Well said, brother.